Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for joining in right on time. It makes me the happiest when we can begin these right on time. Thank you for joining in. It is 7:30 p.m. here in India. We've got a fantastic set of panelists joining us all the way from New York. Very exciting, packed 1 hour ahead of us. I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to dive right in. Thank you to everyone who's taking the time to join us on this Tuesday evening. My name is Priyanka Pant. I lead communications here at GradRight. If you're wondering, wait, what is GradRight? What is it all about? If you're a student from India who's interested in pursuing your master's in the United States, you're in the right place, in the right site, right hands with GradRight. We'll help you do two things. We'll help you find the right master's program for you. We'll also help you find ways to fund it. And how do we do it? We do it through the power of AI, data science, and community. We've got two fantastic products that are completely free to use for students called SelectRight, which helps you select the right master's program for you. We help you shortlist the right kinds of programs based on your personal and professional goals. Whatever it is you're looking for, I'm sure you'll find the right master's program on SelectRight using data. We're not giving you any opinions. We're not giving you any sort of biased advice. It's pure facts, pure data. Check it out if you haven't already. If you're looking to fund your master's, depending on where you are on your study abroad journey, you can use FundRight, which is our free education loan bidding platform, to find an education loan that'll help you fund your master's in the US or anywhere else abroad. With that, we're going to get started. So one of the things we love to do is talk to students within our GradRight student community, and we hear all kinds of questions coming in. I'm interested in doing a master's in computer science in the United States. It's a hugely popular program. What are the things that I should be looking at as I decide what is the right kind of program for me? Should it be the ranking of a school? Should it be the brand of a school? Should it be the location? Should it be the kind of faculty that teach these kinds of classes? What kind of research are they doing themselves? Are they actually teaching the classes that I'm going to be signing up for? All of those kinds of questions are questions that we get all day, every day in our DMs on Instagram, on LinkedIn, in our email inboxes. So we thought, you know what? We want to help you find the right master's abroad. That's literally what we do as our jobs. What's one way to do it is to put all of these questions to the people that you can always want to ask, but usually never have a chance to do that. So what we've done is we've gone ahead to the City University of New York's Lehman College. So CUNY is a really popular public university system. We're going to learn a little bit more about it. I'm not going to be telling you. We've got a fantastic panel of guests from CUNY, all the way from New York, as we say, live from New York, joining us this morning. It's pretty early for them. I'm going to start to introduce each and every one of them so they can quickly say hello, tell you who they are, and we'll dive right in to what we're doing this hour. What I will say is, as always, please feel free to drop your questions through this hour in the Q&A box. The chat box is also open. If there are specific questions about CUNY, about Lehman, about how do you actually crack an MS and CS application, what kind of job opportunities are available, what support will you get in terms of how to find a job, how to find the right internship, what about housing? How will you find housing in New York City or in the United States if you choose to go? All of those questions are questions that we're going to try and take and address over the next hour. Like I said, super, super packed. So I'm going to go ahead and start with who I see first on my screen. Good morning. I see Erica. How are you?
Hi, Priyanka. Good evening, everyone. My name is Erica Johnson. I'm the Associate Director for International Student and Scholar Services.
Wonderful, Erica. I'm going to put you on the spot with one quick rapid question with a rapid answer, please. What do you think is your favorite reason to choose Lehman for a student that you would recommend?
I think Lehman is in the heart of New York City. However, it has a beautiful park-like campus. So you get the best of both worlds.
Perfect. A lovely green idyllic campus in the middle of an urban jungle. Nothing like it. Fantastic selling point. Thanks, Erica. I see Nicole on my screen next. Good morning, Nicole.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am Nicole Allen. I am a career advisor in the Career Exploration and Development Center at Lehman College.
Nicole, can you tell us in one line, if a student came to you, what could you help them do? Could you really help them find like the perfect tech job in New York City after they graduate?
Almost, yes. So I can help students.
No pressure.
So we help students with resumes, internships, cover letters, how to find the the right company to work with, we can get you started from beginning to end and help you when you take off your cap and gown at Lehman College, get into the right job.
Amazing. And speaking of students, I see an alum on my screen. Sabrina, good morning.
Good morning. So I'm Sabrina Ramsunda, and I was one of the lucky students to be a student at Lehman, and I'm actually pursuing a second master's at another CUNY school. But I did have a sense of community with, I still had that for so many years, and I just wanted a quick shout out to Nicole because I remember Nicole and just her office being so instrumental in so much of my studies at Lehman. So hello to everyone, but I just wanted to say that.
And Sabrina, could you tell us, so you'll have not just a view on Lehman as a college, but also CUNY as a system. You just said you're choosing to pursue a second master's. That's very exciting. I did want to understand and learn, what was it that you studied at Lehman while you were there?
I did a Master of Science in Recreation Education, and that opened the doors for me for my internships and where I got my job offer, actually. I wanted to just add on to my degree, so that's why I'm doing the second master's. But it's just so Lehman really opened a lot of doors for me because I was able, as an international student, to actually work on campus as well. So, you build a sense of community. You have that, a lot of even for my job interviews, my professors were my references, and just, it was so important. You really have that sense of community, and just, I haven't met, I graduated before Erica was there, but just the Office of International Students was very instrumental and helpful in making your stay, make you comfortable. So it's a really sense of community, and I love that.
That's amazing. I think, that's really reassuring to know also as an international student, because, it's of course a huge investment in yourself financially. It's also a really scary thing to go to a completely new country, a completely new culture, and start from scratch. And to know that there is a strong sense of community can be hugely attractive in deciding where it is you should be pursuing your master's. So thank you for sharing that, Sabrina. I look forward to asking you a whole host of questions over the next hour. And we already have a ton of questions coming in the Q&A box. Please feel free to keep that going. We'll try and take as many, if not all of them, over the next hour. But you did mention professors, and I can see one professor on my screen. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good evening, everyone. My name is Min-Xian Zhong. I'm an assistant professor in the computer science department. I'm also the graduate advisor.
So as a graduate advisor in the computer science department, what kinds of students do you think would succeed in computer science?
Yes, so we welcome all types of students. So for example, we have students who just graduated from undergraduate and continue their education here. So we have some students who was working in some other area and want to switch to computer science. They also success here. And we also have some students who have graduated, worked for a while, and then want to enhance the studies through a master program. They also success.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So, an MS in computer science is probably one of the most popular master's programs in India. We get questions on it all day, and I'm sure there'll be lots more that come your way over the next hour. And I really look forward to hearing all it is that you have to share with our students and sort of what kinds of things they should really consider as they pursue an MS in computer science, and the kinds of opportunities that are available once they graduate. And next I can see on my screen, Lourdes. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is Lourdes Figueroa, and I'm the Graduate Admissions Advisor here at Lehman.
Okay, and one of the things that we hear from students all the time is, wait, how do I perfect my application and make sure that wherever I'm applying to, I get that letter of acceptance? So are you going to be spilling any tips and tricks for our students today?
Yes, I will. I will give you some tips on what you need to include in your essay, and also who you should contact to write your reference letters. So
that is a
we'll
great
talk about
tip.
that later.
Yeah, I think, we hear that all the time. Should I be asking my head of department, someone that I've met maybe once in my entire career, in my undergraduate career, or should I perhaps ask a professor who may not be well known, but has seen me grow, over my undergraduate career? Who would be the better person to ask for a letter of recommendation? I look forward to hearing what it is that you have to offer in terms of admissions advice. And last but not least at all, we've got Suzette. Good morning.
Thank you, Priyanka. Good morning to you and good afternoon to the students in India. I'm the director of campus life at Lehman, so I'm looking forward to talking to you about activities, programs, things that you could be doing. My sister, Sabrina, talked a lot about community. So I want to talk to you about how you can build community and, all the resources that are available for you. I also saw a question in the chat where people were asking about CUNY, and I'm going to preempt, Priyanka, that you're going to ask me what's cool about Lehman. What's cool about CUNY? And CUNY is the nation's largest public urban university with over 243,000 students. That's tremendous, right? So CUNY is the umbrella term, and we have 25 colleges in New York. So almost anywhere that you go in New York, you're going to meet a CUNY student. You go to a hospital, wherever, the retail stores, or somebody's in management, teachers, principals, you're going to find CUNY students. So it's a really powerful institution when you think of it. If it wasn't powerful, I wouldn't have recruited my sister to join us for this. So I'm excited to talk about CUNY and, why this is a good option for you.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. And that is absolutely a question, that we get all the time, sort of, especially in the run up to this webinar. We post a lot about it to our students, and we had lots of questions about, why choose a school like CUNY? What advantages would it offer me to choose a system like CUNY, to go abroad for my master's? So I look forward to us talking a little bit about that over the next hour. But what I will do before we dive into our conversation, and I did want to tell students that, how we're planning to divide the next sort of 45 minutes is spend 15 minutes on what is CUNY, how do you get into CUNY, what is Lehman, what are the advantages of choosing Lehman, and we'll, trying to answer all kinds of questions around the admissions process. Who should you be asking for a letter of recommendation? What kind of essays can you expect? Are there other things that you can do to stand out? What are the things that CUNY looks for in its students, right? Is it just test scores? Are there other things that you're looking at as people that are evaluating prospective students? So we'll try and cover as many of those things as we can in the first 15 minutes. Take a couple of questions as we can through that 15 minutes. We'll also spend the next 15 minutes after that. Okay, so now you've made it in the United States at CUNY, hopefully. How do you set up yourselves to succeed as international students in a completely new system? On campus, outside of the classroom, in the classroom, we'll talk a little bit about what to expect as an MS&CS student, what your typical day may look like, what kind of opportunities exist for you on campus, what kind of jobs you maybe apply for as an international student, what kind of housing is available to you, what kind of student groups and clubs are available, what kind of experience can you really have outside the classroom. And the final 15 minutes, we're going to focus on something that I think is hugely important. What happens once you graduate from CUNY? What kind of jobs are you looking at? How do you brand yourself as an international student to American companies? Do you need a LinkedIn revamp? Do you need to redo your resume according to, American standards? What does that look like? How to prep for an interview? How to sell yourself as a candidate? All of those kinds of things we'll cover in the last 15 minutes. And as always, we'll try and take as many questions as we can through the next 45 minutes. All right. So back to basics, right at the very beginning. Can you tell us a little bit, Suzette, you talked a little bit about CUNY and the advantages of it. I would love to take it to you, Erica. I'm sure you get these kinds of questions from international students. What makes CUNY a good choice for an international student, just as a system overall? And I'd love to get into Lehman also specifically.
Well, I think at Lehman, what you're going to find is that you're going to have a quality education, right? You're choosing to do a master's degree program. It's a significant investment. You're dedicated to your career. You've had exposure to the field. You're going to have an excellent academic experience. I think that's first and foremost. And what New York City offers you is an added bonus in terms of the access to the different companies, the access to just the different experiential learning opportunities that you can have in a city like New York. And also just the social, emotional support and energy of the city. It is a dynamic place to be, and it's a dynamic place to launch an international career.
Rookie Zoom mistake after all of these years post-COVID, still on mute. But Lourdes, if I could take it to you next. As a student considers the CUNY system to apply to, are there things that they should be thinking about in terms of the admissions process? So is it a centralized thing? Are you applying to the university system? Does each college have its own specific admissions process? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So for graduate school, each college has their specific application. So if you are applying to various colleges, you will have to do multiple applications. You will have to ask for different reference letters. So here at Lehman, we have an online application, and on the application, you can request your reference letter. Everything is done online. So that's an advantage about that. Another thing that you should be thinking about is that we will need an evaluation of your transcript as an international student. So that's another point that you really have to start early to do the application so we can get all your documents on time.
Yeah, and in fact, one question already coming in about the admissions process: is there an interview at Lehman or CUNY as part of the admissions process?
Okay, so not necessarily. Sometimes we will contact you, the professor will contact you to do a quick interview. We'll meet with you, but most of the time, only by looking at your reference letters, your academic history, your essay, you will be able, your application will be evaluated, and it will be, a decision will be made in the application.
Yeah, and a quick question, Lourdes, if you don't mind sharing. I think a lot of times for students, it's sort of the mythical, someone will be looking at my application. Who will this person be? We're not quite sure. Will they actually read my essays? Will they actually read my SOPs? Will they actually read my letters of recommendation? So, will someone physically be reading all of the applications coming in?
Yes. So we won't ask you to do the work if we are not going to look at the application. So we will look at your application a holistic view. We will look for everything. So make sure your essay doesn't have grammar errors. So that your references, you ask for your references to professors or supervisors that really know you, that have seen you grow, that can attest about your academic history and how you have grown through your education. It doesn't have to be a person that a class where you got an A, but it has to be someone that knows you, that can really talk about you, how you can be successful in graduate school. So we will read your letters of recommendation. We will read your essay. So yes, just don't rush through it, but try to do your best.
Yeah, Sabrina, I'd love to bring you in. Do you remember what that process was like for you as you were thinking about sort of where to apply, what programs to choose? Can you just take us through that journey as a student? Were you very sure that this is what you wanted to do and it was at this specific college? Or did you have a process of shortlisting and debating and discussing and a pros and cons list? What was that like for you?
So I did, as an international student, you don't have the luxury of just saying, I'm going to just on a whim go there. You have to do your research. Mm-hmm. And I did narrow it down to with both schools I graduated from, CUNY Hunter College and then CUNY Lehman College. And I did my research. I researched the program, but I want to be honest about the fact that you have to also be aware of the deadlines that you have to meet, because in the sense of that you're applying for a program, but there is paperwork involved, and I'm sure Miss Erica could attest to that. Like, there's a time process of when you're applying, and you want to get into the program, but you want to make sure of the deadlines of the dates, just so that you can get into the program in the right time. Just because, again, as an international student, the luxury of time is not always there. So you want to make sure everything is that you're in status. And just so that will be easier for the office to help you, because they can help you once you have all your papers and everything in there. And as Ms. Lourdes said, like, they will read your application, but they get many applications. So you want it to just be reflective of yourself and your character, because you're looking at this degree in the same way as you would apply for a job. You have your undergrad already. You have your degree. You're coming into a master's degree, a graduate program. So you're advancing yourself. So you want to give yourself the best advantage. And no one can take that away from you. You have an international degree already from you're coming to New York, whether you stay for a job in New York or you go back to, or you work wherever part of the world you want to. Nobody could take this from you. So you have to be proactive in getting yourself involved.
I love that. Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Thank you for sharing. So a couple of questions just generally around the application process. Lourdes, I'll take a couple of minutes just to quickly ask you. So typically, we've seen that there's a lot of students that typically go in for a fall intake. Does CUNY and Lehman specifically have a spring intake as well that international students could apply for?
Yes. So right now our application is available for spring 2024. International students are welcome to apply. The computer science program actually enrolls for spring, so you can go into the application. It starts at any time at this point, and you just need to make sure that your application is submitted on time. So it is a process. As you know, you need to submit all your documents. We need to review your application. So just take the time, Zoom now that the application is open. So you can start at the end of January, which is when our spring term starts.
Wow, fantastic. So if someone's actually watching right now and they're interested in applying, in 6 months, they could be in New York City.
That is correct. Again, our application deadline is much earlier than that. As Sabrina was saying, the best thing is to start early to submit your application as soon as possible, because you need time on your side. Our first deadline for a spring is October 1st, but I will suggest you to submit much earlier than.
Yeah, the earlier, the better. Fantastic. So October 1st is the deadline for spring 24, but if you can apply earlier than that, all the better. Tushar asks, is the GRE required? And if so, is there a specific score that's required for the MS in computer science?
The GRE is not required. So you don't have to take the GRE.
Okay, excellent. A few more questions coming in. Okay, specifically, Policy was asking, is there a spring intake for an MS in CS? Yes, as Lourdes just mentioned, the application deadline is October 1st. There is no GRE required. So if your paperwork is in order, if you have someone in mind to ask for a letter of recommendation, if you want to get started on your SOPs and other essays, now is the time to do it. Another person asks, I'm assuming there must be English language testing requirements though, right? It's like a TOEFL or an IELTS?
Yes. So we require a language assessment exam. It could be the TOEFL or the IELTS. If you're taking the TOEFL exam, you need a score of 61 or more. If you're taking the IELTS, the score needs to be 6 or more. So just keep that in mind when you take your exam, either if you're doing the internet-based TOEFL exam, that you get a score of 61 or more, or if you take the IELTS, a score of 6 or more.
Okay, and this question I think I'll take to you and the professor as well. A pretty, a common question that we get all the time. One person asks, what is the most important thing in the admissions application? And the second most. So for instance, is it the SOPs that matter the most? Is it the test scores? Is it my resume? Is it letters of recommendation? As you're weighing sort of what makes what is it that matters the most? Is there one particular thing?
Professor,
well, I think 3 parts are all important. So your GPA, your statement purpose, and your reference, and these things are combined together. So I cannot say which is the most important. All of them are important part of our review process.
Yeah, Lourdes, would you say similar, that you're really looking at all parts of that application, not one thing over the other?
That is correct. We will look at the whole application, and it's very important that you have a GPA that it is 3.0 and higher, but a high GPA will not guarantee your admission. So you need to really do a good essay and have good references to it.
Yeah. And in fact, Professor, maybe I can take this next question to you. There's two, it's a 2-part question, I suppose, from 2 different people, but similar questions in terms of, so you're looking at all of these, markers of academic excellence, of course, and the kinds of students that apply, but are there things like, would a work experience, help a candidate stand out? Would specific internships help them stand out? Or if there's research that they've done, someone asks, are there certain extracurricular activities that you would expect them to have? So when you're looking to assess a student, who may have all 3, a great GPA, a great SOP, a fantastic letters of recommendation, is there something else that a student can show you that would make you pick them over someone else?
I would view the research experience and the working experience as a plus. So if you do fantastically well in GPA, in statement purpose, and in reference, there's no reason I do not admit you. We do not admit you. But if you miss a little bit, you can take a plus by your research experience, your working experience, something like that.
Yeah, so I think that's also great advice, right? And you're hearing it straight from the source. Test scores, academic excellence, great. If you feel that maybe one or the other, maybe your test scores aren't quite what you expected, or maybe a class that was particularly hard in your last semester, you didn't score quite as well, that may have affected your GPA slightly, and you're sort of worried about it. Play up other aspects of your application. Is there a fantastic research that you've conducted? Is there a particular volunteering, experience that you have that you'd like to highlight that shows how you take initiative? All of those kinds of things are things that'll really help you stand up and really make for that kind of application. Fantastic. I think we've almost at the end of this sort of first segment of ours, where we're talking about how do you actually get into CUNY? What is CUNY all about? What is Lehman all about? And I did want to ask you, Lourdes, a question that I asked Erica as well. What in your words would be, advice or things that you would say to a student who's considering CUNY, considering Lehman? Is there something that you would like to tell them, especially if they're a student from India?
Okay, so as you see my background, this is our part of our campus. So it is a great experience to be here at Lehman. You can join our art outdoors, and you can just take a train and you will be in the city in a very short time. And we also have a very equipped sports center here at Lehman that students can join and they can do exercise. We have a very big pool that you can enjoy. So I will say that we have many great things to offer besides our high quality education and the affordable tuition. You have many places on campus that you can enjoy.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I think, now I'd really like to spend the next 15 minutes talking a little bit about, what actually happens as, once you're on campus, once you're at Lehman, also what happens once you're a part of the CUNY system overall. Are there specific, advantages that you can take? Are there specific benefits you can take advantage of as part of the larger CUNY system? Can you maybe take classes at other CUNY campuses? How many other campuses are there? If Lourdes, you could quickly tell us a little bit about. So, Lehman's one of many at CUNY.
Yes. So we have 25 campuses, and students here at Lehman, they can go to the other campuses and use their library. They can borrow books. Also, if there are free events or events open to CUNY alumni, you can go to different campuses and be part of the events. Another great thing is in some cases you can get discounts for events, a place, so you can visit other campuses here in CUNY. And we have campuses in all 5 boroughs, in Queens, Bronx, New York City. So you can go all around New York City and find a CUNY campus. And if you need time to study, you can visit any of our libraries. So it is a very good advantage.
Yeah, fantastic. And in fact, before we go ahead, I'm going to take a quick poll because I'd like to understand what kinds of students we have on our joining us in our audience today, because then we'll focus a little bit about if mostly everyone's interested in the MS in computer science. We'll spend the next 15 minutes specifically talking about what it's like to be in an American classroom studying computer science. And if there are students that have more general questions about what it's like to succeed on campus as an international student, we'll keep the discussion around that. So if I can ask my team to quickly pull up the poll, and we'd love for our audience to take just a couple of seconds, answer a couple of quick questions. It'll really help us understand, where you are on your study abroad journey. Are you actively looking to apply for perhaps spring 24? We'll try and, tailor some of our conversation that's left to that. Have you already started to take some tests? Which of the tests have you taken? We'll try and take, as many of those and those answers and try and tailor the rest of our half-hour conversation around that. A lot of questions coming in, by the way, speaking of tests, around the English language proficiency test. And Lourdes, I'll take that question to you once we're done with our poll before we move on. A lot of questions coming in around whether or not new age tests like Duolingo are accepted. We've heard, the TOEFL is hugely important, is hugely popular, of course. The IELTS is now becoming quite popular. And then I think during COVID, Duolingo has suddenly shot up in popularity. So we'd love to hear from you in a couple of minutes from now to just learn, is Duolingo accepted or not as part of the English language testing requirements? But for everyone else that's on this call, the poll should be on your screens. If you can just take another 10, 15 seconds, just answer. It's 3 questions, super simple. It'll just really make sure that we're able to tailor our conversation to sort of what your interests are, and we'll try and do that. Okay, I think we should be good to go to see the results. Can we see the results? Maybe until we do that. Oh, wow. Okay, so a pretty even split between students that have just about started looking for master's programs and are the similar number are actively looking. A couple have already started applying and shortlisted and sort of given tests. So that's great to know. Many very interested to learn about the CUNY system at large, and many who would like to know about Oh, fantastic. About the kinds of job opportunities that are available, what kind of curriculum is offered in the Master's of Science in Computer Science, and a little bit about scholarship opportunities as well while applying. Fantastic. Great. So we'll try and take some of those questions. Lourdes, before we do move on, if you could just let us know on Duolingo, is that something that's acceptable?
Yes, it is. You can take Duolingo, and we require a score of 85 or higher if you do take Duolingo.
85 or higher. Great. Thanks so much. We'll come back and take a few more questions around testing. But, I would love to know, there was a lot of students on here, a lot of questions around the MS in computer science. And maybe you could let us know, what would a typical day be like for a student that comes on, sort of their first day as an MS in computer science student? They've just landed on Lehman, in Lehman College, after applying and getting in. It's their first day of classes. Typically, what would that look like for them? Would it be really large lecture halls? Would it be a bunch of smaller classes? What kinds of things can they expect within their first day, their first week on campus?
So I think for the first day on campus, students I expect to first take a tour in the campus. We have a very beautiful campus, and our classroom is not that big compared to some other universities. So our typical classroom has like 30 to 50 students. So we have some big classroom, but I think graduate classes, most of them would be taught in small classroom. So you will have, it depends on your choices of your class. You may put like your courses on 2 specific day. For the rest of the day, you can do your own research. You can work on something else, but you can also spread your courses in like 4 different days. Then you do not have too much courses on one day. So we have a lot of options for our students.
Yeah. And can you tell us a little bit about maybe the kinds of research that students may be expected to do, or the kinds of projects that they may be expected to do over their time in their master's?
Well, that's pretty depends on the faculty, on the course you are taking. So we have faculty here doing different research. We have faculty doing artificial intelligence. We have faculty doing graph theories. We have faculty doing some other applications in algorithms. So it depends on you. So if you want to work with our faculties, we have a chance of doing that. So we have a specific type of the course which called independent study. So basically, you work with one of our faculty members, and that could count one of your courses. So you do research with him, you do some project with him, and that's due to the work decided by you and the faculty supervisor, and it could count one of the courses. So this is some of flexibility we can offer.
Yeah, and we had a lot of questions coming in from students asking about, is there a typical sort of background that most of your students come from? Should they all have had a computer science background? Are you open to students that are interested in maybe pivoting to computer science as a master's if they come in from a fairly strong tech background or an engineering background? One student specifically asked and said that they have an electrical and electronic engineering as a background, and they're interested in perhaps pursuing a master's in computer science. One other person said that they have a non-CS bachelor's. Would they be eligible to apply? So what kind of backgrounds typically do your students come in with?
So typically we expect a computer science background, but we also open to students with other backgrounds. So we have a list of prerequisite courses. So maybe I will talk a little bit. So basically for the prerequisite courses, we have 2 from math, which are calculus, 2 semesters of calculus, 1 semester of linear algebra. So for the computer science, we require 2 semesters of high-level languages, 1 semester of computer organization, and 1 semester in the data structure. So those are the courses, or the prerequisite courses we generally require. But if you miss some of the courses, that's still possible. You will be admitted if you have a strong background in other area. But in that case, if you miss some of the courses, you need to take that within the first year.
Got it. one other question coming in. Could I apply for the CS program if I've done my bachelor's in computer applications? And I'm guessing their answer is probably yes.
Yes, you can still apply it, even if you miss. So if you take if you have taken all of our prerequisite course, you can apply it independent of your majors. But even if you miss some of them, you can still apply. If your background is strong, we may still be admitting you, but you just need to make up those prerequisites within the first year.
Got it. And we spent a couple of minutes talking about what it's like to be in the classroom at Lehman, at CUNY, but I want to know a little bit about, what is it like outside of the classroom, on campus in New York City, as part of the CUNY system. And Suzette, if I could bring you in on that, can you tell us a little bit about the kinds of offerings at Lehman? What kinds of things can international students specifically look forward to on campus?
So that is a great question. And for international students, this is so significant. Your graduate degree is very different than your undergraduate degree. And that's the first thing I would say, because it's so intentional and specific. And what you want to do is you really want to network and meet people who are in a community who have similar things that they are interested in. So one of the main things that we do in the student life building is we have clubs and organizations. And that's a great question, because there are some, to be fully transparent, there are limitations for international students outside of a campus, right? In most cases, you cannot work outside of a campus, but you can work on a campus, right? So you can work in any of the 25 campuses that Lourdes mentioned. You can join a club or an organization. And we have had, every single year, we've had 2 or 3 computer science clubs. Past semester, we had girls who could code. We had computer science clubs. We hold hackathons where all the CUNY students are involved and they come here. Who comes to those hackathons? Employers who could possibly sponsor you for an H-1B visa. We've had students who were involved in our clubs who went to conferences and they were hired before they even graduated. So I really want you to think when you do, hopefully you come to Lehman. When you come to Lehman, one of the first things you want to do is think of joining a club or an organization or forming a club. How wonderful it would be to have an Indian student international club who is interested in computer science, that would be fantastic. The other thing is every student pays an activities fee. So we have a food bank. Lourdes mentioned this. We have emergency grants, which is open to all students, right? Emergency grants, the food bank, and those are more support services. Nothing is going to go against your record, because really you just swipe your student ID and get fresh produce and groceries as often as you want during the week. The other thing is Lourdes mentioned the Apex. You have a state-of-the-art facility with an Olympic-sized pool, tennis courts, an indoor running track. We have the best career mentors at the Career Center, where you can go, they'll train you in interviews. Those are all interviews, resume, all of those different things that would make you marketable. And then all of these events and programs, every event that's open, that's on this campus, you are eligible to join. So there are a lot of resources for you. If you do come, I'm going to remember that I spoke at this panel. So come look for me at the Student Life Building. I'm really happy to connect you to resources. Somebody mentioned, how can I get through to different campuses? There's also emergency funds for Metro cards and stuff. So Sabrina mentioned a sense of community. And I really think of that when I think of Lehman. But you have to invest in that community. You have to stick around the campus for a little while and meet people. Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. And Sabrina, I want to bring you in. What was your sort of highlight of your time at Lehman? Can you tell us a little bit about that? How did you take advantage of the opportunities that were available outside of the classroom?
So one of the things is when I first came to the country, I was very introverted, and I took a little time and to just, kind of find my voice. And one of the things is that when I really say the sense of community, I really do mean that. I was proactive, like in my classes, but just even, meeting the professors, like, during office hours or just after the paper, after like an exam, checking in. But also it was like, just the people you meet on campus, but the opportunities that I got, like even with my internship, and I guess Ms. Erica could also speak to that. Like one of the things that I did, after you graduate, I know we're getting there. You have like the option of working with CPT. You work for a while. You have that employment authorization, and that helps you to just bridge the gap. But just also, as Susan was saying, and others on the panel, being an international student, yes, there are limitations, but you have so many opportunities as well. And that actually outweighs any of the limitations, because you just even in the area of Lehman, we have a world-renowned the botanical gardens, like right there. As a student, you have like you can get in for free on certain days or student discounts. You have like the Bronx Zoo. There's so many museums just even around the Bronx and in the city. So you have so much access to everything. And I can definitely, as I say, I graduated from 2 CUNY schools, and I may be a little biased, but I feel like Lehman still is my home. Like as I said, I was able to work there on campus as well. And just having those connections just really did help me. I did want to bring up one thing. As an international student, when you're applying and everything, one of the things, is always a concern is that like when you submit all your documents, one of the things is that you have your bank statements and to prove your stay of status. I want to say like, yes, you produce your documents, but CUNY and all CUNY schools, but CUNY Lehman also has like, you don't have the brunt of the finances to like even just pay up front. You have the option of a payment plan that you're eligible for. So, I mean, like that does give a peace of mind as well, because it's not even that you can take the loans, do whatever is comfortable for you, but you're not bound to just like having debt after. So you have that option as well, because you don't want to be paying it like when you're 60 years old, like and so just know like it is accessible, and that's one of the that's one of the beautiful things about CUNY. You have assistance each step of the way, and you just have to be again proactive in in just an active participant in your study.
I love that. Thank you for highlighting that, because that's something that we got a lot of questions around, from our student community of, here's CUNY offering a really high quality education at a really accessible and affordable tuition rate. Erica, do you think you could speak a little to that and why that's so important and how that might shape why an international student may consider CUNY over other colleges for their master's?
Well, I think, in any career, you're looking at the skills you need, right, to progress in that career. And what is going to be the return on investment, the investment that you're going to make in this master's degree. At CUNY, you have just an incredible, return, because not only as a computer science major are you eligible for optional practical training and potentially curricular practical training while you're doing your degree, but you also have the possibility to apply for STEM OPT after completing OPT. So you have potentially 3 years where you can work in the United States after completing a degree in computer science. Where you're in New York, so you're already, the salaries are high, right? They're probably some of the highest salaries in the United States. And so you're entering at the top of the economic ladder in terms of salary earnings potential. So that is key. But I think the other important key, just being in an international city translates. It's going to translate if you want to move, back to India. It's going to translate if you want to move to the UK. It's going to translate if you want to move to Australia, if you want to live in Southeast Asia. Wherever you go, people know New York, they love New York, and they will recognize your experience as rich and valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, what a perfect segue into our final segment. We're talking about all things internship, jobs. How do you prepare for that? What happens once you're done with Lehman? And Nicole, thank you for joining us. Tell us all about what it is. Sabrina alluded to it a little bit. Erica alluded to it a little bit. How can students really prepare, especially as international students, to, as Sabrina talked about it, market yourself to an American, employer? Are there things that you can offer students as part of, some of the things that you do can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So one of the things I didn't mention earlier is that I'm the career advisor for all the business and tech students at Lehman College. So if your major is computer science, computer information systems, computer graphics, I would be your career advisor, not only while you're at Lehman College, but even after. So I also work with alums. So if you graduate from Lehman College, you can always come back to the career office for services. And so one of the things that we encourage students and encourage all students is to meet with us early and often. One of the things that we do is our goal is to really prepare you for the transition from college to the world of work. And there are a lot of things that can help you in that preparation. So when you come to us, there are some students who have a career goal in mind. They want to do software development. They want to be software engineers. They want to go in cybersecurity. That's great. But not every student is like that. There are some students who are really kind of not sure, deciding between two different careers. Once a student kind of knows exactly what they want to do, then it makes the steps to help them prepare and plan for their career a little bit easier. So one of the things that we do is we start with resumes. So we can help you with resumes. So if you have a resume, we can certainly review it, make sure that it looks good so you can present your best self to the employer. If you don't have a resume, we can certainly help you craft a resume. How to brand yourself, how to communicate your skills, your knowledge, your qualifications to an employer, how to present yourself in a really good light so that you have increased chance of getting opportunities, whether it be internships and full-time jobs. So we do have an internship specialist in our office who helps students with internships, and I work with employers, IT tech employers, for full-time or part-time job opportunities. So if you're looking for full-time opportunities once you graduate, which I'm assuming most of you will, we have a database of different job opportunities in tech. And so when you come to the campus, you'll have access to that job board, and you can view that job board 24/7. You have full access to it. The employers that we have relationships with post different jobs on that job board. So you can certainly go to that job board and view the different opportunities. But I would be your career advisor. I would work with you on resumes, on how to interview. So there are different types of interviews. There's the behavioral interview, traditional interview, coding challenges, all of those different types of interviews we help you with. And we also oftentimes will work with companies. So we have strong partnerships with different companies: Google, Microsoft, Twitter, Facebook, Bloomberg, Accenture. All of these companies have a commitment and a relationship with Lehman College specifically. And what that looks like throughout the semester while you're here at Lehman College is that they will come and do different sessions. We've had our sessions virtual, but for the fall semester, if you choose to come in the fall, many of our sessions will be in person. So you can meet with recruiters from Google, you can meet with recruiters from Twitter, and they can tell you about internship, job opportunities, but other experiential opportunities and programs that you can go to and get involved in. And that's one of the things that you can do to kind of just prepare yourself and get the experience and get the exposure. And the networking. The networking is key. There's a statistic that says 86% of jobs are not found on job search sites, meaning going to Indeed and looking and going here and looking. It's through networking. And that's a high percentage. So it means that recruiters are connecting to people they have relationships with, whether it be colleges or other professionals, and trying to recruit and fill positions through networking. And I'll give you an example of kind of what that looks like. So I'll have an employer from Google or Microsoft, and they'll say, we have an IT internship or an IT position that we would like to get filled. And since we have such a great relationship with Lehman over the years, and we've recruited Lehman students and they work really well, they're very ambitious, they're curious, they work hard, we want to continue that trend. So that's what we have at Lehman. We not only have relationships with employers, but we have employers who reach out to us when they have different opportunities. And then they come to me and they'll let me know that they have different opportunities, and I can reach out to students and let them know about those opportunities and kind of facilitate that transition from, them being a potential candidate, hopefully to them getting that offer. We have career conversations. This is a program where if students are interested in hearing from different tech professionals, whether you're interested in cybersecurity or networking or data science or software engineer, we have them every June, and we have about 6 or 7 tech professionals who come via Zoom and tell you about their career, tell you how they got started, and offer you tips and resources on how you can get started and get into the field. So there's tons of opportunity. That's one of the things I love about Lehman College, is that employers really build strong connections with the Career Center, and we do have strong relationships with that. And then so it's beneficial to our office, but it's great for students because we can share those opportunities and we can make those connections for students and the recruiters.
Yeah, fantastic. That was super comprehensive. Thank you for sharing. I did want to ask, are there specific instances or students that you can speak to in terms of graduates of the MS in Computer Science, degree? Any interesting, opportunities that came their way in the last year or so? Anything that you can share with us in terms of success story?
There was one. I went to Accenture yesterday, and they had 2 Lehman students, 2 Lehman IT students. It was great to see them. I worked very closely with one of them, and she struggled to find an internship. She looked and she looked and she looked, and wasn't really making any headway for internships. And so Accenture came on campus, and they were recruiting for internship opportunities. And she says, Nicole, I really, research Accenture. I want to work for Accenture. How can I put myself in the best light to this company? So I connected her to a recruiter. We did the resume, we did interview prep, connected her to the recruiter. She communicated to the recruiter about her interest in working with Accenture and why she wanted to work with Accenture. And so she was able to connect with that recruiter and get an internship opportunity that converted into a full-time offer. So she was able to do that internship for about 4 months, and then that internship converted to a full-time opportunity. So she's currently working at Accenture, and I was able to meet with her yesterday when I went to the Accenture site visit. So it's good when you're able to work with students and help them get all the tools and resources and prep they need in order to show what amazing candidates they are to the employer.
Fantastic. And we're almost completely out of time, but I did want to ask all of you sort of one final quick question, if you have the time to sort of spend with us a couple more minutes. And, maybe I'll start with Sabrina, you first, as someone who's graduated from the CUNY system and is, clearly a fan. Is there one piece of advice that you'd offer other international students like yourself and, specifically students from India that are considering CUNY and Lehman specifically? What is something that you would like to share with them?
I guess I would like to say something I wish I knew a little bit, what I could tell my younger self in that sense. You are an asset to wherever you go, but you're an asset to Lehman because you're coming in because one, you chose Lehman and hopefully I know you will get into the program, but you're coming in with your life experience and what you want to do. And just knowing that you're an asset, like you're already coming in, most likely knowing 2 languages, you're opening yourself to so many different opportunities, and just Lehman sees that in you. And I really am, I know, yes, I am like a big fan of CUNY and Lehman, but I felt myself grow in Lehman as a person, because it's not just about, yes, you get your education, you get your degree, but it's just like a holistic approach. Like you have so many different options, and just know like the fact that you even choose Lehman is that Lehman sees you as an asset, but you're an asset too. So just the value of that is so important. I really do believe that. So I definitely feel that.
Yeah, Suzanne, I'd love to take that to you next. You see students sort of outside of the classroom as well, build that whole experience, enjoy Lehman, enjoy CUNY. Is there something that you would say to international students sort of thinking about applying to CUNY, sort of what they can look forward to, what they should take advantage of, maybe one specific club or event or college tradition that they should definitely partake in once they're at Lehman?
So I would say definitely join clubs and organizations, and you could look for this online. Like we have all of our clubs on something called Club Central, and also keep in mind, Lehman is very diverse. We have close to 120 countries represented on this campus. So you're not coming into a space where you're going to assimilate into like one kind of way. You're going to be unique, be who you are, because that's actually why people are going to hire you. In the back of, and I don't want to kind of come off imperialistic, but sometimes people come in and one of the things you're always going to think of is what would make me more marketable? How would I stand out in who I am? And so everything that you are doing, be intentional about that. If you're coming in, you want to be intentional about, I'm going to my classes, I'm going to be doing research, but then how am I getting experience? How am I making connections? Every student pays a student activities fee. And my advice to you is really get the most bang for your buck when it comes to that.
Fantastic. And Professor, I'm going to come to you next. Of course, we've had so many questions coming around the Master's in Computer Science program specifically, but if you could tell students one thing about why you really think that the MS and CS program at Lehman specifically could be, a significant contender as, one student from India looks for, what is it that one thing that you would recommend to them about your program?
I think these flexibilities, because we only have 3 core courses, others are elective. So you can choose to work with professors as your elective independent research. You can choose to take courses in other CUNY campuses through e-permit. So that's also possibilities. So we have a very flexible schedule. You can tailor your courses as you wish.
Yeah, fantastic. So a super almost DIY degree in that sense. Mm-hmm. Really pick and choose what it is that you want to do and really make that degree your own, super personalized degree, if you will. And Lourdes, if I could come to you next, we had lots of questions coming in around the application process, a lot of interest in sort of the spring intake as well. You told us a little bit about the deadlines and what to consider as you apply. You told us a little bit about the campus as well and how beautiful Lehman is. For international students that you speak to day in, day out, I'm sure you get certain specific kinds of questions around CUNY, around Lehman. Is there one thing you'd want to tell our students from India as they sort of start working on their applications? One thing to really keep in mind to make sure that their application really lands the way that they're hoping.
Sure. Well, I will say to pay attention to your personal statement. Try to include your details about your experiences. We want to get to know you, right? So the personal statement is the best place on the application where you can include details about your goals, why you want to do this program. And your research, so we can get to know you even before you come to Lehman. And also, just to remind you to start the application process early and submit all your documents as soon as possible, because you want to get your admission pretty early so you can work with your visa, also you can get here on time, right? Get here on time to start class. So I will say those are the two things that I want to highlight.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nicole, I'm going to bring it to you next. You said one thing you tell students, come meet us and come meet us often. And I think, that's great advice, because I think for a lot of students, like many of our panelists said, a master's is not like your bachelor's. You're really intentional about it. You're making sure that it's helping you move a certain, point in your career. And as an international student, of course, it's a huge investment in your future. And you want to make sure that, as Erica mentioned, that you're really getting the most return on your investment in yourself, in your future. And Nicole, what is sort of one thing that you would tell students to think about, that maybe, to sort of get started right from day one, right from that first day on campus, that they can really prepare for success after graduation?
I would tell students that you have the opportunity to create a plan for yourself, a career plan that can lead to success, that can lead to what exactly you are looking for. And if you work with our office, help you get there, whether it's a resume, whether it's a cover letter, whether it's deciding a career, no matter what it is, we can help you in making sure that plan comes to fruition and it's successful for you. But that can happen when you come early and you come often to us. We can work with you to get you there.
Amazing. Great advice. And Erica, I'm going to let you have the last word here. You've shared a lot of really interesting things about the CUNY system, about sort of, the advantages that it could have for an international student specifically. Sort of one final take on that, right? You've spoken a little bit about the advantages of choosing the CUNY system. I'd love for you to talk to us a little bit, in your final remarks about why choose Lehman of all the colleges that are available in CUNY? What makes Lehman special in your sort of judgment?
So I think, all of this whole process of studying abroad and, choosing to pursue a degree outside of your home country is exciting, but it can also be incredibly overwhelming, right? And so I just wanted to let you know that here at Lehman, everything might not go to plan. And, there are going to be days that are frustrating, or you're going to miss home, or, things aren't going to seem quite right. And that's okay. And there's a community here that understands that and will support you on those days that things aren't quite right. And so that's huge, right? You're starting, this process. And, I always like to say you run a marathon one step at a time. So focus on what's ahead of you. When you need other resources, Lehman is here to step in and to support you.
Thank you. I think that's hugely reassuring. Suzette talked a little bit about what makes CUNY sort of the largest, urban public university system in the United States. It's a huge, almost behemoth of a system. And yet I think the sense that I get from Sabrina, especially, and, it's great to hear her experience as a student. And of course, Suzette's talked about it. Nicole's talked about it. Lourdes has talked about it. Erica, you've talked about it. Professor, you've talked about it as well, is that actually it's quite an intimate experience at Lehman within this larger system. So you really sort of, the way that the campus is this little oasis in a larger, city, Lehman really is coming across as a little oasis of itself, really strong community. People are looking out for each other. Students are looking out for each other. Professors and faculty and admission staff are looking out for students on campus as well. And I think to be able to have that kind of safety, security within a larger system where you can tap into all kinds of different opportunities and exciting opportunities in terms of jobs, internships, classes, things like that. That is really sort of the best of both worlds in that sense. Thank you all so much for taking time on Tuesday morning to speak with our student community. Here in India, I think it was hugely valuable to hear from all of you, such different perspectives, but I really appreciate it. And thank you to all of you who stayed with us and asked lots of questions. So many questions still unanswered. Quickly, if maybe all of you can tell us what is the best way to reach you if there are students still have some more questions for you specifically about the MS and CS program, about generally the application process, about financial aid, scholarships, things like that. What would be the best way to reach out? Would it be via email?
Email.
Yeah.
Email for me. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes, email.
Emails all available on the website. In fact, we're also available if you'd like to have questions that weren't specific questions that weren't addressed. Feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, on LinkedIn. We're at GradRight on all our socials. We also have our email address, grad@gradright.com. Any questions that were unanswered, we'll make sure to connect you with the relevant panelists and try and get those questions answered. I also have a couple of email addresses that I can tell you that are coming in the chat box. In case you'd like to get in touch with Suzette, her email address is suzetteramsunder@lehman.cuny.edu. Nicole, who's a career advisor, her email address is nicole.allen, that's ALLEN, 1, the number 1, @lehman.cuny.edu. Like I said, feel free to drop any questions you have. We're happy to try and take them across to the relevant panelists. All of you, thank you so much for your insights. We really appreciate it. Super candid and really insightful as always. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Tuesday. And everyone that joined us, thank you so much for joining in. And hopefully some of your questions were answered. All the best with your study abroad journey. And please follow GradRight on all our socials. We'll share every step of the way across your study abroad journey. All the best. Bye.